Yesterday we were talking about the 15th chapter of the Gita. At the end of that chapter, Shree Krishna says, Dvavimau purushau loke charaschakshara evacha. He mentions about the existence of Maya and the souls. Maya Shakti and Jeev Shakti. Maya Shakti is the material power, and Jeev Shakti, those are all the souls. So he refers to Maya as Char and Jeev as Akshar. The same terminology is found in the Vedas. Charam pradhanam amritaksharam harah charatmana vishate deva eka. Maya is char and Jeev is akshar. Char means that which is changeable, can deteriorate, is temporary. And akshar means that which is always the same, never deteriorates, can never be damaged or changed in any way. That is akshar. So we learned a lot about this already, that Maya, due to its own inborn nature, although it has existed forever and always will exist, but everything formed by Maya, all the physical forms of this world, they're only temporary, and the happiness that they give is only temporary. So everything Mayic is called Char. And Jeev is called Akshar because it is unchanged through eternity. Only one thing can change. Either you're under Maya or you're beyond Maya, but your soul remains the same. Then he adds, there's one more thing. Uttama purushastvanya paramatme tyudahrita yo lokatrayamavishya vibhartya vyaya ishvara. He says there's one Ishwar who is beyond Char and Akshar. So, of course, Krishna is talking about himself. They said the exact same thing. That there's one Ishwar ruling over Char, Maya, and Akshar, Jeev. Ruling over means he activates Maya and keeps Maya in the form of this universe, and then he dissolves the universe back into the subtle form of Maya. So he's the Lord of Maya. He also gives life to all the souls, keeps track of all of their karma, and gives them the outcome of those karma. So he's the Lord of the souls as well. He's also beyond Maya. Maya cannot reach God. And he's beyond the souls unless they surrender to him. Then with his grace, they can reach him. Yasmat charmati toha makcharadapi chottamaha atosmi loke vede cha prathita purushottama. Shri Krishna says, since I am beyond Char Maya and Akshar Jeev, thus I am known as Purushottam. He says, I envelop and uphold everything, yet I am beyond everything. So I am Uttam. Uttam means supreme. Purush Uttam, he's Purush because he has a personality. He's sentient. He's Chit, like we are. So he's Purushottam. He says, I'm known both in the world and in the Vedas as Purushottam. Then he finishes by saying, this is the end of the 15th chapter, that those who know that worship me. Why would they go anywhere else? Maya is Krishna's dasi, and the souls are also just ansh of Krishna. So when you have the anshi, when you have the Swami, why not worship him? Why worship his das, right? Maya is just a servant of Krishna, and that too, a jada. Lifeless, mindless. So why would we give our mind to Maya when we could give it to Maya's Swami, Shree Krishna. The same thing goes with souls. We are all ansh of Shree Krishna. The ansh is attracted to its anshi. I explained that yesterday, that ansh means a part of, and anshi means the one to whom you belong. So we're ansh of Shree Krishna, and there's a natural love for the anshi. The ansh automatically has a desire to be with his anshi. Not to be with ansh. The desire is that ansh wants to experience his anshi, Bhagwan. So this brings us back to the question that I ended with yesterday, which is that so far we've been learning we have to do bhakti to Sri Krishna because real happiness is not in this world, because the world is Mayak. And if everything in the world is temporary, all the worldly happiness is going to be temporary, and that's never going to be enough for us. But Sri Krishna is divine and unlimited, and he's the form of bliss. So if we attain him, we get perfect happiness. How do we attain him? We do bhakti. And bhakti means attaching our mind to him. I'm just reviewing quickly. How do you attach your mind to him? You understand, happiness is in Krishna, not in the world. Right now, up until now, we've understood that happiness is in the world. Thus, we've always looked to the world with hope. This person will make me happy. If I get this job, I'll be happy. If I make this much money, I'll be happy. If I get this kind of house, I'll be happy. We've always looked to the world with the hope of finding happiness, yet the world can only provide that kind of Mayic temporary happiness, which excites our mind but doesn't console our soul, because our soul will never rest until we get divine happiness. So we understand that. Wherever you understand happiness is, you're going to do chintan of that thing. You're going to keep thinking, this will make me happy. I like this person, I like this thing. That process of thinking makes you get attached. So we're supposed to get attached to God. How do we do that? Think of him as the source of happiness. Very simple. That's bhakti. So bhakti and desire are one and the same. It's just that up until now we've always done bhakti of the world because we always believed there was true happiness in the world. A devotee of God believes that there's happiness in God, so I have to think of him. You keep thinking of him the same way you yearn for the things of this world. No difference. The internal process is exactly the same. You just divert that loving remembrance towards God. Your mind already knows how to do it. So let's say someone's doing that. They've understood. There's no true happiness in the world. True happiness is in Krishna. They do bhakti in this way, thinking of Krishna as much as possible every day, even taking some time out every day to just sit and meditate on Krishna and try to feel that loving connection with him. Maybe do some kirtan to further evoke those devotional emotions. And in this way, he develops his attachment to Krishna, and his attachment in the world reduces. Let's say all of this is happening. Then the question is, what's going to happen to my life in the world? We're always worried about this, understandably, but we go a little overboard. Just like I was saying, people always want to know when they hear Yad gatva nanivartante tadham paramam mama. Shri Krishna says, the one who goes to my divine abode never comes back here on this earth. Really? Can I come back if I want to? Yeah, but over there there's perfect happiness, no pain, no suffering, just unlimited joy all the time. Oh, okay, but still, can I come back if I want to? Everybody always wants to know. And there's a story about Prahlad, actually, when Prahlad, the famous saint Prahlad ji, was leaving this earth planet. He was leaving in his, like a divine viman, came to get him and take him to Vaikuntha Lok. So there was a pig there in the mud. eating the mud and muck like pigs do, decomposing muck. So he said to that pig, "Chalain, Golok, you want to go to the divine abode with me?" The pig said, "Will I get my khadya padarth over there? What I eat, what I like to eat, that stinky mud? Do they have any of that over there?" Prahlad said, "No, there's nothing stinky and yucky over there in the divine world. Everything is nice and beautiful." So the pig said, "No, then you go ahead. I'll stay here." We have no clue what the divine world is like, so we're worried about, oh, am I going to lose anything if I surrender to God? We really don't have to worry, but since the worry is there, we have to address it, because this is the mind that we're supposed to get attached to God, and if that same mind is worried, well, what's going to happen if I attach my mind to God? What's going to happen to my world? Then it's never going to agree to get attached to God. So we have to allay that fear. We have to address it. What practically happens? See, people wonder, okay, if I'm not at what Krishna is telling us in the Gita, don't be attached in the world. Be attached to God, but continue to do your worldly duties. That's what Gita says in every chapter. People wonder, how will I keep care of my family? How will I keep working in the world if I have no attachment to what I'm doing or those people that I'm taking care of? How will that work? It's a common fear that people have. Right now we live in the family, and those are the main people we're attached to. The other people we meet in the world, the other 6 or 7 billion people on this earth planet, we're not attached to them. We're attached to 10, 15, maybe 20 people. Our close family and friends. Everybody else, we still behave properly with, right? As good people, we treat them well, we behave well with them, but we're not attached to them. We're attached in the family. And where do 95% of our problems come in our interpersonal relationships? In the family. Why do you think that is? Do you think maybe it's because we're attached in the family and not attached in the... How are we able to behave so nicely with perfect strangers and we treat those that we're attached to the worst? Many times it happens that way. Not always. But many times we have the most trouble controlling our emotions in those situations with our intimate loving ones. Our mother, father, kids, spouse. That's when we have the most difficulty controlling our reactions. So what causes those reactions? Attachment. Nothing else. We have expectations. See, we don't really have expectations from a stranger. If a stranger insults us, we think, oh, well, I don't really know him, so it doesn't really matter to me. It doesn't bother us very much. But if your own son insults you, if your own husband or wife insults you, it really hits you hard. And you'll think about that for days to come, maybe weeks. It might even escalate into more fights and more arguments. Who knows where it ends up? This is because we have that expectation. The first thing to realize is that attachment is not a selfless, positive thing. It's a selfish thing. Again, back up. Where did the attachment come from? Attachment comes from doing chintan of this type of thing, where you think, this person will make me happy. So what could be more selfish than that? Yet it's our nature. We can't stop desiring happiness, so we automatically look for happiness everywhere, and when we see a person we think might make us happy, we start meditating on that hope, and that becomes an attachment. A mother is meditating on the hope she has for her child before the child is even born. oh, the child will be like this, look at me in this way, say my name in this way, that will make me feel so happy. I'll get to hold the child will be mine, depend on me wholly. All of those things give us a happy feeling. So, if we have a child with that hope, then you could ask yourself, when we decided to have this child, were we thinking of the child's happiness? No, nobody thinks, let me have a child so that that child can be happy. No, we think, let me have a child because having a child will make me happy. That's how our mind works. There's nothing wrong with that, it's just good to understand it. So there's an underlying desire that those people should make me happy. So there's an underlying selfishness. जाते कछु निज स्वार्थ होई, ता पर ममता करई सब कोई, सुर नर मुनि सब किया हरीति, स्वार्थ लागी करहि सब प्रीति. Everyone under Maya operates in this way. Once you attain God, you get perfect happiness, then you can be selfless. But until God realization, even the Devtas, the celestial gods, even a yogi, everyone, if they're under Maya, they have this underlying way of functioning that wherever we believe our self-interest will be fulfilled, that's where we attach our mind. So that attachment comes with an expectation. And the greater the attachment, the greater the expectation, and then the greater the disappointment if that expectation is not met. And of course, the greater the happiness if the expectation is met. But this world is such, and people are such, that nobody ever fulfills your desires all the time. Two people love to spend time together, but their desires don't always match. One wants to go to the movie tonight, the other one says, no, let's go to satsang, listen to Gita. So you can say, oh yeah, two people who love each other can have separate interests. You can say, sure, to a point. What we really want is someone to agree with us all the time. In our heart of hearts, that's what we want. But everybody's mind is conditioned to seek for their own happiness. So how can they always agree with everyone else? It's impossible. We should be surprised if someone does agree with us. Not the other way around. We shouldn't be surprised if someone disagrees with us. So we're bound to get disappointed. People are bound to not live up to our expectations. So there's going to be pain. And when we're let down, then we get anger, we get frustrated, we get in these verbal fights with people. This is what happens when we have attachment. And what is family life about? Family life is about meeting your needs, both physical and emotional. Can those needs be met without attachment? Certainly. We can definitely understand how our physical needs can be met in the family without attachment. What about emotional needs? Sure. What do we really need? What does a child need? A child needs support, affection, encouragement. Who does this very well? Teachers. Let's say a really good teacher at school, in primary school, secondary school. They're very good at encouraging, supporting, teaching the kids. Yet they do it without attachment. These teachers have hundreds of kids come through their life. They can't be attached to every single kid who comes into their class, yet they do care for them. They want the best for them, and they try their best to bring that child to the next level so that they can succeed and go forward. Is that not what a parent is supposed to do? It's the very same thing. How is the teacher able to do it without attachment? I would say the teacher is better able to do it because of the lack of attachment. The teacher is not thinking, what is this child going to do to make me happy? Is this child going to serve me when I get old? Is this child going to make me proud? Will I be able to parade him around and say, my child got into this university, or my child topped this class? Parents do have those kind of desires. So wherever we have that kind of selfish desire, that's going to cloud our ability to make proper judgments as to what's the best thing for this child. Just take another simple example. Let's say there's a judge ruling on a case and his own son is either the accused or the accuser. Will he be allowed to rule on that case? Of course not. Even if he says, no, I'm really going to try to be just. I'm not going to have any bias to either side. Everybody knows that's impossible for him. He's attached to his son. That's going to cloud his judgment. A doctor or a nurse also treats hundreds and thousands of people. They want the best for that person, their patient. They do care for them. They're another human being that they're trying to help. But if they get attached to them, they won't be able to do their job. Let's say a surgeon's own child gets in an accident and needs to be operated upon. That surgeon will most likely be so fraught with emotion, he wouldn't be able to operate. He would say to his most trusted colleague, you please operate on my child. Right now, I can't think straight. That's due to the attachment. So it is possible to be a good parent without attachment. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means the selfish desire, the selfish expectation has been removed. Where has it been put? On Krishna? That's okay. You say, but I shouldn't be selfish towards Krishna. What else are we going to be? He has what we want. He has happiness in unlimited amount and we want it. And there's no way to stop wanting it. You can't say, okay, I should be a selfless devotee of Krishna, so I'm not going to desire to see him or to enjoy his divine bliss or anything. Then you could say that every Gnostic is a selfless devotee. What does the Gnostic say? I don't want God. No, I don't want his love. I don't want to see him. So we do want those things. We are selfish. We can only become selfless when we get those things, because that's the thing that makes the soul whole and complete. So it's okay to be selfish towards God. Just don't ask for any worldly thing. Normally when we speak of sakam bhakti, people think it means asking worldly things from God. Actually, asking worldly things from God is not really bhakti at all, because it means our mind is still attached in the world. True bhakti means desiring God. Now there are higher levels of bhakti where a devotee actually starts to develop the feelings that Krishna, I do want your vision and your bliss, but I want your happiness as well. That's also a devotional desire. When someone thinks, Krishna, somehow, some way, I don't know how I can with what I have now, but I wish I could serve you to please you, to make you happy. I want to see a smile on your face. Why? Because you're mine. So I want to please you. That's an even higher level of bhakti. That's true nishkam bhakti. But for now, it's okay just to understand that we're meant to desire happiness from God. That's correct. If we're desiring that happiness from any person in this world, it's unfair to them. They're also bereft of that happiness. So we're demanding something from them that they themselves don't even have. Now it's another matter that we pretend we have it. How do we act when we want someone to like us? We have to act like we've got something they want. And they do the same to us. Like, it's never said. It's just that we kind of enter into an unspoken agreement that I'll love you because you're going to make me happy, and you'll love me because I'm going to make you happy. It's a bargain we strike, but it's unsaid. Yet I don't have happiness within me, because otherwise if I did, why would I be looking for it from you? And you don't have happiness within you, so then how are you going to give it to me, and how am I going to give it to you? Something I don't even have, I can't give to you. Like a beggar begging from another beggar. What's even, wo dena bhi chahe, kya dega? He has nothing to offer. So Bhagwan is the dhani. He's the one with the unlimited treasure house of divine bliss. We can get that bliss from him. This is what happens. As our attachment moves towards God, we actually do get to experience some of that happiness. It's not the unlimited divine happiness that you get upon God realization, but it's a taste of that. It's a beginning. So you do start to experience something deep in your heart that makes you feel, this is the real thing. This is the happiness that makes me feel whole and complete. So you keep striving for more of that, and your attachment to Krishna keeps growing. And your attachment in the world keeps reducing. So what happens then? Will your world fall apart? No. I'll tell you my personal experience. It didn't practically happen that way at all. I wasn't always a sannyasi. I was also working and living in the world for several years before I moved to an ashram and decided to take sannyas, which is not something you have to do if you want to follow this path. You stay in your life as it is. I found that things got easier. I was better able to interact with people, colleagues, friends, family. All of that became easier because I understood that I wasn't meant to get happiness from them. I'm meant to get happiness from Krishna. So then I didn't have those unfair expectations from them, and I was able to look at it from a more level-headed perspective. Oh, what do we need to do to get along? Why are we in a relationship, and what are we trying to accomplish through this relationship? Okay, let's do it. That's it. Take the attachment out of it. Take the expectation out of it. Everything becomes easier. So that's what practically happens. Yet our mind still has this fear that if I'm not attached to my family, something bad is going to happen. Oh, something good is going to happen if you reduce your attachments in your family. In the 16th chapter, Shree Krishna talks about the good qualities that start to evolve in a person's mind as their mind gets more attached to God. Because as your mind gets more attached to God, it purifies. The negative qualities reduce and the positive qualities increase. So in the 16th chapter he says, Dvau bhuta sargau lokesmin daiva asura evacha. Says there are two types of qualities or characteristics which can be manifested in a person's behavior or in a person's mind. There are daivi gunas, the positive qualities that tend towards God, and there are asuri gunas, the negative qualities which take you away from God. So these positive qualities which Krishna mentions, for instance, Abhayam sattva sanshuddhir jnana yoga vyavasthiti Dhanam damascha yagyascha swadhyayas tapa arjavam. It's a lot he mentioned just in the first shlok. He says abhayam, fearlessness. Sattvam, sattva means the positive quality of Maya. Jnana yoga vyavasthiti, you keep the spiritual knowledge, like the knowledge of the Gita, always fresh and ready to use in your mind. Ready to use means when you're faced with any situation in the world, you call upon that knowledge. Like there was a Panditji who wanted to get his daughter married, but he didn't have enough money to pay for the wedding. So he decided, well, the king lives nearby. He's got so much, I'll go and steal from him. I'll just go and help myself. So using his cunning, he was able to enter the palace after dark and get by the guards. And he saw, oh, there's so much gold and silver and jewels. I'll definitely be able to get enough to pay for this wedding. But every time he went to lift something and put it in his satchel, his knowledge of the Vedas would come back to him. That, oh, if I steal this gold, then the Vedas say because of stealing gold, you get this kind of punishment in Narak. So he'd put it back. Then he'd try to steal some silver, same thing would happen. Oh, he'd remember this Vedic mantra that says stealing silver results in getting this kind of punishment. He'd put it back. No, I don't want that punishment. He'd try to steal some diamonds, same thing. Whole night went by like this. He kept trying to steal things and remembering what he would face because of that in the future, and he'd put it back. In other words, his knowledge was preventing him from doing a wrong thing. Although it didn't prevent him from entering the king's castle. So anyway, he ended up in the king's bedroom and he was looking around there, and dawn came. And at dawn every day, the king's servants would all come in with trumpets and musical instruments and play songs and sing to wake the king up in grand royal fashion. So this Panditji got caught in there in the king's bedroom when everyone was bursting in to wake the king up, so he quickly slid under the king's bed. When the king woke up, he was thinking to himself, oh, what a wonderful day. Look at me, look at how lucky I am. Cheto hara yuvataya suhridanukula yad bandhava Branayagar bhagirascha bhritya valganti danti nivahas taralasturartha. And he stops. 3/4 of a verse. The Panditji was listening underneath, understood the Sanskrit the king was saying, that, oh, my life is so great, look at all these beautiful maidens come to serve me, and people are playing trumpets to wake me up, and the horses and elephants are making sounds to wake me up. I am so great. Everyone is favorable towards me. And he stopped there. So from underneath the bed, Panditji couldn't help himself. Sammilane nayanayor nahi kinchidasti. He finished his shlok from under the bed. The king was startled and was wondering, where is that coming from? I've heard of Akashvani, I've never heard of Patalvani, that's coming from underneath me. So someone came and pulled that Pandit out from under the bed. So then he had to tell him the whole story of everything that happened, why he had come, how he wasn't able to steal anything. The king was very impressed, both by what Panditji had said, because Panditji taught him. He said, but king, whatever you've gathered throughout your whole life, Nayanayor nahi kinchidasti. When you close your eyes for the last time, never to open them again, none of this is going with you. It all stays here. So you think about that, king. Think about what is going with you. Your karma, your bhakti, that goes with you. The king was very thankful for that lesson, and he was also very impressed that the Pandit was able to call upon his knowledge to prevent himself from doing a wrong thing. So that's what Shree Krishna is saying, Jnana Yoga Vyavasthiti. Keep that spiritual knowledge in your mind and consider it at the time it's needed. If you don't use it at the time it's needed, it's like a person who's carrying, let's say someone has a license for a handgun for self-defense, and maybe they walk in some dangerous neighborhood late at night because they finish work at night and they take the subway home, so they carry a gun for their protection. And one night, 3 people come upon them and start beating them and trying to mug them. And afterwards, he's lying there, everything has been stolen, he's been beaten, he goes home and his friend says, "But I thought you carried a gun to protect yourself." "Oh yeah, I forgot about that." So we have all this spiritual knowledge, but when we need it most, we forget about it. And later, after we've already done something we're going to regret, then we say, "Oh, if I would have thought of this then, I shouldn't have gotten angry. I shouldn't have said this thing." So it's a good quality to keep that knowledge and use it when it's required to keep you from doing wrong things. Dhanam, being charitable. Dhammam, having control over your senses. Not just being a slave to your senses. Your tongue says, "Let's eat this," and you just say, "Okay, let's go." Oh, you have to have some control so that you can live a healthy life. Swadhyay means studying some spiritual philosophy. Arjavam, being simple and straightforward. Not being tricky, cunning, crafty. Although you need some of that if you're in the business world, or there's certain times where it's a requirement, but not all the time. Not in all our relationships with people. We have a very crafty nature. So Arjavam means being simple and straightforward. This is just one shlok. Shree Krishna is telling all the good qualities of the mind. Where are those going to come from? You know, politicians also give speeches. Be good. Everyone should be good. Get along. Be peaceful. No crime. How is any of that going to happen? When we have desires and we want to fulfill those desires, eventually people are going to do wrong things to try to fulfill them. How are we going to develop the good qualities so that we don't do things like that? Only through bhakti. Only by attaching our mind to God, which reduces our worldly attachments and purifies our mind. When you do that, then you get things, all these good qualities coming up. This arjavam, straightforward, honest behavior. Ahimsa satyam akrodhas tyaga shantirapaishunam. He says more ahimsa, non-violence, satya, truthfulness, akrodha, not getting angry, tyag, having feeling of renunciation, shanti, not getting disturbed by material situations, tap, being willing to exert yourself or to strain to do the right thing, to do a good thing, even if it's difficult. The last one is also an important one, the one I mentioned, apaishunam, not gossiping, not doing ninda of other people. That's one of our favorite pastimes. Soon as we get a break at work, everybody's got a buddy, you know, someone you feel at ease with, that you like to talk to each other. So when you sit down at work, what do you talk about? The great majority of the time, just like when you sit together at the table in the cafeteria at high school, what did you talk about then? Same thing. That person did that. That person said that. Oh, what's that person doing nowadays? Who's that person like? Who's that person talking bad about? All kinds of gossiping, criticizing. So Krishna says it's a good quality not to do that. To avoid those kind of talks is a good quality. Keep in mind, whatever we put our mind into, we adopt those qualities. So if we're always thinking about and talking about those kind of things, that kind of ninda, criticism, gossiping, what are we bringing into our mind? All kinds of impurities, might impurities. So all of these are good qualities, important to develop. And if you do develop them, how could your life in the world get worse? So you come back to the original question. If I do bhakti, if my worldly attachment becomes less, what's going to happen to my worldly life? Well, you're developing all these positive qualities in your heart. You're becoming more charitable. Krishna uses the word daya, more compassionate, more kind, more truthful, more straightforward and upstanding. Teja Chama. Teja means like a bright force within you. Coming closer to God doesn't make you lazy. People think, how will I be, because of my ambition to get more in this world, so I work hard in this world. No, if you develop the bhakti to God, one of the good qualities that comes in your mind is tej. Tej means you're alert, you have energy, you want to do things, you want to accomplish positive things. Teja, Chama, Dhriti, Shaucha. Chama, forgiveness. What a wonderful quality. Best way to develop it? Develop your bhakti to God. It will come in your heart automatically. Dhriti means patience and determination. Also requirements for success in this world. And he says, Nati manita, humbleness. Not expecting or demanding others to respect us or give us any kind of high status. Just being who we are and being humble and giving respect to others. These are all good qualities which develop in the heart if we develop bhakti in our heart, because it purifies the heart. So all of these are like godly qualities, you can say. The more attached to Krishna you get, the more these godly qualities, daivi gunas, are going to develop in your heart. And if we do the opposite, in other words, if we become more attached in the world and less attached to God, Shree Krishna says, that's going to result in developing more negative qualities. The more someone develops his ambition to enjoy worldly things, the more that's leading his mind away from God. Someone might say, but we live in this world. God made this world. Did He not make it for us to enjoy? He didn't make it for us to find happiness from. He made it for us to get calories, vitamins, minerals, protein, clothing, shelter, medicine. He made the world for all of those things, for our physical body, because we have a physical body, we have certain physical needs. But since our true self is the soul, which is inside the body, that's not all we need. We need God for our soul. So the world is for your body, God is for your soul. So to answer the question, no, God did not create this world for our happiness. He created this world to be able to fulfill our physical needs. We mistakenly look to this world for happiness, and that's the beginning of all of our problems. So the more someone desires this world, the more they get attached in the world, and then the rajas qualities develop in the mind, and after that more tamas qualities may come if we start doing wrong things to acquire the things that we want in this world. Krishna even goes to the extent, there's quite an interesting, almost comical description of the extent to which these qualities develop in a human mind. I mean, comical not in this way that, I mean, there are people like this in the world, but when you read it, he's saying, Ishwaroham, I am Ishwar. Siddhoham, Balavan Sukhi, I am powerful, I am rich, I am God, I am Ishwar, I am perfect. He says these kind of thoughts develop in the human mind. The more someone gets power and wealth, his mind can tend along that direction. He thinks, I've attained and acquired so much today, tomorrow I'll acquire more power, more wealth. People will worship me. There are people in this world like that, and we have that potential to be like that within ourselves because we have rajas and tamas gunas within us. It's just a question of whether they're developed to that point or not. So Krishna cautions us that there are asuri gunas as well. Asuri means like devilish or like a demon type gunas that are within us. So if we don't develop the positive qualities by attaching our mind to God, then our mind tends to go in the other direction. It may not go to that extent, but it can tend in that direction. So he says, Trividham narakasyedam dvaram na shayanat mana kama krodhas tatha lobhas tasmade tatrayam tyajet. He says there are three things that lead, you can say three gateways to Narak. Because Krishna cautions that if someone allows these asuri gunas to develop in his mind, then he gets at least born in the lower species for many lifetimes, if not going to Narak. He says, Janmani Janmani Asurim Yonihi Janmani Janmani. He'll be born in these lower species for life after life after life because of the wrong things he did as a human being. Asurim yonimapanna mudha janmani janmani. For life after life, such foolish people will get born in the lower species. Or they may end up going to Narak. So he says the three gateways to Narak are Kam, Krodh, Lobh. What is Kam? Kam is just desire. None other than desire, which we all have because we all have the desire for happiness. So if that desire for happiness is not turned towards God, then we turn it towards the world. So then what happens? You desire a worldly thing. So what's the next step? You'll plan and strive to try to achieve that thing. If you succeed, what happens? Lobh. Lobh means greed for more. That's what Krishna was saying. Oh, I've got this much money, tomorrow I'll get more. And he feels willing to even do wrong things, lie, cheat, steal, even kill, in order to get more money, more power. So the lobh goes on increasing, and due to that he'll keep on doing more and more wrong things. Or if he's denied, then what happens? Krodh. Anger, which we all know, we all have our own experience of regrettable things that we've done or said when we've been angry. So you can take that to any extreme as well. Thus, Shree Krishna says these three things, Kam, Krodh, and Lobh, are the three dwar, the three gateways that lead a soul to Narak and to total, utter downfall. Nashanamatmana, total destruction. So the mind can only go in one of two ways. So your mind doesn't rest. Never for a moment is the mind just sitting like frozen, still. You know why? Because of desire. And what's the source of desire? Your desire for happiness. And the source of that is the soul's relationship with God. I told you that yesterday, that the soul is related to God, thus it desires God. And since God is happiness, you can say the soul naturally desires happiness. And that desire is transferred into your mind. So the mind is always being propelled by that desire to find happiness. We feel that restlessness. So the mind can never sit still. The question is, when the rubber hits the road, what direction is the mind going in? Meaning, have you educated your mind that the happiness you seek is in God? Or is the mind still deluded, thinking it's going to find true happiness in the world? That determines what direction we're going to go. If we want to develop the Daivi gunas in our mind, we have to direct that search for happiness towards God, which results in getting attached to God, which purifies our heart and develops those Daivi gunas. And if we direct our search for happiness towards the world, we develop more attachment to the world, and we develop the Asuri gunas. Keep in mind that that doesn't mean you become inactive in the world. I'm saying you stop hoping to find happiness from the world. You see the world for what it is. It's just a physical place we have to live in, with objects we can experience with our five senses, but those experiences don't give us really consoling happiness. We know that. So we accept that. Yet we know we have to live in the world. But we don't give up hope for happiness. We have more hope for happiness. Oh, now I understand. Happiness is in Krishna. Oh, okay. Now I want happiness from Him. But I have to live in the world too. So since all these good qualities are developing more in your mind, you can happily operate in the world. It's fine. But you know you're doing it because, oh, I have to keep my body alive and I have to maintain harmony amongst my relations, but my ultimate goal is to attain God. Since my true self is the soul, so my true goal is also divine. Soul is divine, so the true goal is divine, God. And this body is just a temporary vehicle for me to get around in, so let me make use of this world to maintain my vehicle, my body. Very simple. This is how Gita says to approach life in this world. Gita is like a manual. Like you buy a new car, comes with an owner's manual, right? Tells you where all the things are. You have to keep the fluid up. What's this knob for? What's that knob for? How much pressure to keep in your tires? What kind of gas to put in it? Gita is like that. Vedas are like that. It's the user's manual for this human birth. In fact, what are we supposed to be doing in this life? How are we supposed to live in the world? So if we follow that, then we have a successful life. Both successful from a material perspective, meaning we have mental peace in this world and physical well-being. And of course, we get our divine goal. So we're successful in the physical world, and we're also divinely successful if we follow these guidelines. They're called dharma. That's what dharma is. It tells us how to live in the world and how to find God. So if we follow that, we're successful. And if we don't, then we get the miseries of the world, which we're all familiar with, but which we're responsible for. Whatever miseries we have in this world is only because we haven't followed the instructions of how we're meant to approach life in this world. So, these are the highlights of the 16th chapter. In the 17th chapter, Arjun asks a very interesting question. He says, Krishna, people have faith in whatever they do. Whatever they do, they believe in. People worship in different ways. Whatever way they worship in, they have faith. Is faith alone enough? Meaning, does it matter what you have faith in? Or is it okay, just have faith faith, so since you had faith, you'll get the right result. Or is there any difference? Like, what if you had faith in the wrong thing? Will you still get the right result? Will you be rewarded for your faith because you had sincere faith even though it was in the wrong thing? Or do you have to have faith in the right thing in order to get the right result? Shree Krishna addresses this question tomorrow. Boliye Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki